Their Excellencies, the Right Honourable Dame Patsy Reddy, Governor-General of New Zealand, and Sir David Gascoigne.
Taea tēnei momo, taea tēnā momo, whakamanawatia. Whakamanawatia te toki atu, whakamanawatia te rauorongo. Oi whiwhia te tohu, oi rawea te tohu, oi tamaua te tohu, taumata rautia te tohu, haumi e, hui e, tāiki e.
E ngā mana, e ngā reo, e ngā iwi o te motu e whiwhi nei. Tēnei aku mihi mahana ki a koutou. Kia ora tātou katoa. Nau mai, haere mai, ki te whare kawana. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, warm greetings to you all and welcome to Government House. I specifically acknowledge the Honourable Andrew Little, Minister of the Crown, our kuia, Mrs Turipawai Higgins, and our kaumātua, Professor Piri Shasha. Tēnā koutou. It's a great pleasure to host this investiture ceremony and bring together 17 honour recipients along with their family and friends to recognise the contributions they've made to our country. As Governor-General, I have the authority and the privilege on behalf of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of New Zealand, to hold an investiture for her and to confer the honours to which each recipient is entitled. Ladies and gentlemen, as each one is honoured, I invite you to join me in congratulating and thanking them for their service to our country. Mr Hewitt Humphrey will now summon each recipient and read a citation.
Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a Dame Companion of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Dame Diana Crossan of Wellington for services to the state. Dame Diana Crossan has provided leadership in the public service, working hard to enable equal employment opportunities and retirement savings. Dame Diana was the first manager of the Equal Employment Opportunities Unit at the State Services Commission. In this role, she helped shape legislation on equal work opportunities for women, Maori, other ethnic groups, and people with disabilities. She was the Retirement Commissioner from 2003 to 2013, developing a national strategy for financial literacy that incorporated practical strategies such as the Sorted.org website, multimedia campaigns, and education in schools. Her work contributed to the development of KiwiSaver. She worked on a number of governance boards focused on improving financial literacy and retirement planning, including as chair of the New Zealand Institute for Research on Ageing Advisory Board and the Massey University Financial Education Centre Advisory Board. She has led and participated in substantial organisations in the charitable and not-for-profit sectors. She chaired the J.R. Mackenzie Trust for many years and served on several charity boards, including relationship services and refugee services. Dame Diana was Chief Executive of Wellington Free Ambulance from 2013 to 2017. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a Companion of the Queen's Service Order, Mr. Colin MacDonald of Wellington, for services to the state. Colin MacDonald was Chief Executive of the Department of Internal Affairs and Government Chief Information Officer. He led the transformation of government's approach to ICT systems and citizen-centric services. He progressed service innovations such as Smart Start for the birth of a child and 100% online passport services. He led New Zealand's involvement in the Digital 7 cluster of countries. He oversaw several machinery of government changes, including the integration of the National Library and Archives in New Zealand into DIA, and the establishment of Fire and Emergency New Zealand. He led the creation of He Tohu, undertaking careful planning and strong partnerships with iwi to relocate the country's most iconic constitutional document. Previously, as Deputy Commissioner at Inland Revenue, Mr. MacDonald was responsible for the implementation of KiwiSaver. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of an Officer of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Dr. Ian Hall of Dunedin, for services to mycology and agribusiness. Ian Hall developed a method for establishing the Perigord black truffle on the roots of suitable host trees. His method was used to establish the first artificial truffle plantations in the Southern Hemisphere. As the inaugural secretary and then scientific advisor to the New Zealand Truffle Association, he was closely engaged with helping growers and the fledgling truffle industry. He's published widely on the cultivation of mycorrhizal mushrooms. His business, Truffles and Mushrooms Consulting Limited, researches and provides advice on methods for the cultivation of truffles and other ectomycorrhizal mushrooms. Dr. Hall has provided consultation in the United Kingdom, Australia, Europe, Asia, South Africa, South America, and the Middle East, and is currently active with research and cultivation programs in Tibet and Sichuan. Ms. Fran O'Sullivan of Auckland for services to journalism and business. Fran O'Sullivan was a founding director of the New Zealand APEC CEO Summit Board. She's participated in all New Zealand partnership forums with the United States, China, and Australia. She was a founding director and vice president in the formation of the United States-New Zealand Council and as chair of the advisory board. She's co-chair of the China Business Summit, which she launched, and a member of the New Zealand-China Council Advisory Board. She's a member of the Committee of the Pacific Economic Cooperation Council. She founded NZ Incorporated to champion business engagement with offshore markets. She is New Zealand Media and Entertainment Editorial Director of Business. Ms. O'Sullivan is a New Zealand Herald columnist and former assistant editor, and previously edited the National Business Review. Professor Andre van Rij of Dunedin for services to health, particularly vascular surgery. Andre van Rij is a consultant surgeon in vascular and general surgery and former clinical leader of surgery at Dunedin Public Hospital. He's the Ralph Barnett Professor of Surgery at the Dunedin School of Medicine of Otago University. He played a key role in establishing gastric bypass surgery for obesity within the public healthcare system in Dunedin and was the sole South Island surgeon providing this service for many years. He helped establish and direct the Otago Clinical Audit Research Groups. He established and is director of the Otago Vascular Diagnostics Research Unit. He's held leadership roles with the Royal Australasian College of Surgeons and is the Chancellor of the Australasian College of Phlebology. Professor Van Rij helped establish the Servants Health Centre and remains the founding director. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Mr. Edmund Bowen of Christchurch for services to music, historical research and literature. Edmund Bowen established his career as a singer in the United Kingdom and developed an extensive repertoire before returning to New Zealand. He since performed with the Canterbury Opera, Wellington City Opera and the State Opera of South Australia. He sung regularly with the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra and Concert FM for Radio New Zealand, and has performed without charge at community and charity events. He was a member of the artistic panel of Canterbury Opera. He's authored 18 books, including biographies, histories, and historical fiction. Mr. Bowen has contributed to all 5 volumes of the Dictionary of New Zealand Biography. Ms. Denise Hutchins of Nelson for services as a Justice of the Peace and to the health sector. Denise Hutchins is a former president of the Royal Federation of New Zealand Justices Associations. She oversaw the introduction of a voluntary accreditation process for Justices of the Peace. She was instrumental in developing the Federation's strategic plan process and facilitated the Emerging Leaders program. She previously served as president of the Nelson Tasman Association Executive and of the Royal Federation Board. She worked in the health sector as a nurse and manager and was a Territorial Force nursing officer. Ms. Hutchins was vice president of the New Zealand Nurses Association, a member of the National Interim Provider Board, and chair of the National Health Epidemiology and Quality Assurance Advisory Committee. Mrs. Ruxmani Kasanji of Wellington for services to the Indian community. Ruxmani Kasanji was the first headmistress of the Wellington Indian Association, WIA, Gujarati Language School for Children. She taught Gujarati weekly between 1958 and 1973. She played a key role in establishing the Indian Women's Committee, known as Mahila Samaj at the WIA, and served as its secretary. She's a member of the Indian Senior Citizens Group. She helped establish Yoga in Daily Life Society in Wellington and served as president and vice president. Mrs. Kasanji was a member of the Indian Community Advisory Group of Te Papa Tongarewa for the INI exhibition and has continued as an Indian community advisor for the museum. Ms. Laurie Wharemate Kiang of Auckland for services to children. Laurie Wharemate Kiang, together with founder Mrs. Kerry Owen, has developed the charity Feed the Need since 2012 to provide lunches to disadvantaged school children. She's the General Manager of Feed the Need and has helped develop the charity's two programs, the core Winter Boost program, providing hot lunches to children in low decile primary schools during winter months, and a youth workplace placement initiative where students are given a paid employment opportunity at Feed the Need's kitchen. Ms. Wharemate Kiang successfully campaigned for Feed the Need to acquire the derelict Sandbrook community buildings in Otara, which the Auckland Council had considered demolishing. Ms. Mojo Mathers of Geraldine for services to people with disabilities. Mojo Mathers was New Zealand's first deaf Member of Parliament. She used her position to advocate for improved accessibility and access to political information for those with disabilities. Her efforts resulted in the use of sign language interpreters in Parliament and the captioning of live screening of parliamentary sessions. She's raised awareness of the barriers disabled people face with accessing employment. She has supported Hearing House Charities campaign to have the government fund cochlear implants for both ears for children. Ms. Mathers was a founder of the Malvern Hills Protection Society and led an 8-month campaign that resulted in a ban on animal testing of cosmetics. Mrs. Kerry Owen of Utah, United States of America, for services to children. Kerry Owen founded the charity Feed the Need to provide lunches to disadvantaged school children. She's been instrumental in delivering hot, fresh lunches to low decile schools during the winter months. Feed the Need initiated a work placement program providing students from alternative education with paid employment. Mrs. Owen, together with Mrs. Laurie Wharemate Kiang, is now introducing a food pantry program within schools, which includes emergency packs and weekend packs, with the intent to supply whānau packs and hygiene kits. Mrs. Owen and her husband were registered as foster parents with the former Child, Youth and Family, now Oranga Tamariki Ministry for Children, and she's advocated for children in care. Mrs. Rosemary Wildblood of Porirua for services to literature. Rosemary Wildblood is a poet and novelist. She was national president for PEN NZ Incorporated, now the New Zealand Society of Authors, NZSA. She was the National Council's Wellington regional representative and chair of the Wellington Writers' Walk. She was involved with the QE2 Arts Council, where she initiated writing and publishing programs for children and te reo Māori, and managed the New Zealand Book Awards and Children's Book Awards. She was involved with Creative New Zealand, where she established the Berlin Writers' Residency and negotiated the Artists to Antarctica program. She was appointed a trustee of the Wyn Manson Monton Trust and instigated the annual lecture, the Monton Report. Your Excellency, to receive the Queen's Service Medal, Mr. Frank Bax of Paeroa for services to lawn bowls and the community. Frank Bax is a dairy farmer in Hikutaya, Thames Valley. He's been involved with numerous bowling organisations, including as president of Thames Valley Indoor Bowl Centre, Hikutaya Lawn Bowling Club, and Wharepoa Indoor Bowls. He is an Ohinemuri Calf Group judge and is patron and president of the Paeroa Agricultural and Pastoral Show. He's been president of the Thames Valley Holstein Friesian Club, president of the Waikato branch of the Holstein Friesian Club, and councillor and publicity coordinator of the New Zealand Holstein Association for Mystery Creek. Mr. Bax helped organise the Hikutaya School Centenary and 125th Jubilee. Ms. Colleen Grayling of Auckland for services to wildlife conservation. Colleen Grayling is the coordinator of the Howick Tramping Club Conservation Subcommittee and has provided leadership and advocacy for the recovery of the endangered North Island kōkako in the northern Puriora forest. She supported the Auckland Tramping Club in their management of the Tunawaia network. For 6 weekends a year, some 40 volunteers monitor rat density, fill bait stations, and empty these bait stations at the end of the kōkako breeding season. Ms. Grayling has coordinated these efforts, which has resulted in significant growth in the kōkako and pitoitoi North Island robin populations. Mr. Michael Merrick of Waitara for services to the community. Michael Merrick is a councillor on the New Plymouth District Council and Secretary of the Taranaki Heritage Trust. He was Deputy Chairperson of the North Taranaki SPCA. He managed the New Plymouth Community Food Bank and organised 4 Christmas food drives. He's been Chairperson of Friends Plus, which assists housebound seniors, and of the Taranaki Community Law Trust. He's written biographies for hospice patients and published books on New Plymouth historic identities. He was part of the New Plymouth Genealogy Society. Mr. Merrick sat on the Board of Trustees for Fitzroy Primary School and Sacred Heart Girls' College. Mr. John Puller of Whakatane for services to the community. John Puller served as a Whakatane district councillor. He's run a successful construction business and led a team of volunteers in the Livable Homes project in response to damage caused by the ex-tropical cyclones Debbie and Cook. He was involved in Project Hope, an initiative to build a cancer treatment centre at Whakatane Hospital. He chairs the Kiwi Trust, which has overseen a strong repopulation of the iconic bird. He chairs the Community Liaison Committee of the Bay of Plenty Regional Council Korpeo Peo Canal Remediation Project. He's a member and former president of Whakatane West Rotary Club. The Reverend Ola Tofilau of Papakura for services to the Pacific community. The Reverend Ola Tofilau is Parish Minister for the Newtown Pacific Island People's Church and Lead Minister for Tu Tangata Wellington Polyfest. He's a member of the Wellington Pacific Leaders Forum, the Board of Trustees for Va'aumanu Pacifica's Board of Studies, and the Board of Samoa Capital. He's chaired Wellington Region Pacifica Services, the Wellington Region Ministers Fraternal, Wellington Pacifica Patrollers, and conferences on Samoan language. The Reverend Tofilau has facilitated youth access to social and community programs such as the Ministry of Education's Power Up, and has established and run homework programs for students. Your Excellency, the investiture is concluded.
An investiture ceremony is the most important event I hold on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen of New Zealand. It allows me, as Governor-General, to recognise and thank an extraordinary group of people on behalf of all New Zealanders. By using their talents to make ours a better society, whether by service to their communities or by their leadership in diverse fields of endeavour, or their commitment to excellence in their field of expertise, our recipients have set a fine example to others, encouraging them in their own endeavours. To the recipients, it's been a pleasure to hear your stories today. In your own way, each of you has helped make New Zealand a better place. In some cases, your influence and the positive impact of your work has extended beyond our shores. Your actions and the stories we've heard reflect the spirit of the words of Mahatma Gandhi when he said, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." Your contributions have enriched the cultural, social and economic fabric of Aotearoa New Zealand. Please wear your insignia with pride, knowing that your communities appreciate and value your work and are inspired by your example. Kia ora whiwhi tātou katoa. On behalf of the Queen of New Zealand and all New Zealanders, I congratulate you on your achievements and I thank you for your service to our country. Ladies and gentlemen, that almost brings to an end the formal part of our service today. But before we break for refreshments, I'd like to ask you to stand and join me in singing our national anthem in Māori and in English.